Ladies and gentlemen, we've got good news. Ousted Judge Teresa Brennan gets 6 months in jail on the perjury charge. I did a video about this woman a while back as the worst judge ever. And I'll admit, there are probably worse judges in American history in the last 200 some odd years. But I am an attorney practicing law in Michigan for 28 years, okay? I've been in front of a lot of judges in Michigan. This judge is the worst judge I've ever been in front of. She was a horrible person. She was a bad judge. She treated people in front of her with disrespect. She didn't care. She abused her position on the bench. And the crazy part is, what I saw of her, she was a horrible judge. But that's not what brought her down, okay? Turns out that what I saw was the tip of the iceberg, and what other attorneys saw also. I know many attorneys who were in her courtroom who simply just would never go back, wouldn't take cases in her courtroom, wouldn't file suits in that area if they could avoid it. I had people who call me and said, Steve, I've got a case. I said, I can't take it. If there's a chance I'll wind up in front of her, it's not worth doing. It's too much of a crapshoot. When you go in front of a crazy judge, you don't know what they're going to do. But also, you just get abused for being in there. So she's gone. She's off the bench. She'll never be back. You have no idea how happy this makes me. But this is a huge step forward for justice and also for the people of Michigan, especially the people in Brighton, okay, which is where her courtroom was. Howell, Michigan. The story's out of MLive. Nathan Clark wrote the story. Thank you very much. Ousted Livingston County District Judge Teresa Brennan will serve 6 months in jail for lying on the stand and betraying the public's trust in the judicial system, a judge has ruled. Visiting Wayne County Circuit Court Judge Paul Cusick sentenced Brennan yesterday to serve jail time. He said probation would be wholly inadequate. And he went on to say, the purpose of any court proceeding is for it to be a search for the truth. When it was time for you to tell the truth, you decided not to. Based on your actions and your position, probation is wholly inadequate. You know, last week I talked about a police chief who got busted for drunk driving, okay? And you say, well, he should know better. A judge, when under oath, lied, committed perjury. Judge Brennan has had hundreds, if not thousands of people come into her courtroom, raise their hand, and swear to tell the truth. If she found out they were lying in her courtroom, she would have gone nuts. She went nuts over less. So the fact that she then turned around and did the exact same thing herself, the 6 months is actually light. I think she should get more. But I had a lot of people say, Steve, how much you want to bet she's going to skate? She won't see any jail time. So she got 6 months. That's good. By the way, she's also off the bench. She can't be a judge. And she lost her license to practice law. So the legal profession has rooted out one of its own and gotten rid of it. That's a good thing. And yes, I just referred to her as an it. Sorry. Brennan must turn herself into the Livingston County Jail at 9 a.m. January 24th to begin her sentence. After the 6 months has been served, she'll be on probation for another 18 months, and she'll have to do 200 hours of community service. I wish I could pick the community service. I would love to put her in an orange jumpsuit and have her pick up trash along M59. That'd be the best thing for her. She should go stand in front of the courthouse in an orange jumpsuit holding a sign that says, I am the former Judge Brennan. I am a liar. I'm a convicted felon. I'd change the sign every day. Make her stand out there for 200 hours. No good answer exists as to why I lied, she said, weeping before the court. Because of my actions, I've lost my career. I'm a felon, and the public now has a more negative view of judges. Not all of them. Just the bad ones, like you. And she was crying. And I have to tell you that MLive and other news sources put up photographs of her crying in court. And oh, how that's different. When I used to be in her courtroom and watch her berating people from the bench, and now I never saw her bring anybody to tears, but she was trying. I saw her screaming and yelling at people. I saw people treating people with such an utter lack of respect. And I can tell you, I was in that courtroom one time, and a friend of mine was in front of her on another case, unrelated to mine. And while she was talking to the other attorney, not my friend, but the other attorney, he turned and looked and gave me a nod. And she actually stopped and goes, what are you doing? Who's he? Why are you nodding at him? My friend just looks at her and goes, that's a friend of mine. I just saw him, just give him a nod. She's like, you look up here. She wasn't talking to him. She was talking to the other attorney. The guy turned to look at the other attorney, saw me out of the corner of his eye, and she yelled at the guy. Just crazy. I mean, countless examples like that. And I know you're going to say, Steve, that's not that big of a deal. No, it's not. But that's not why she's going to jail. She's going to jail because she committed perjury. Listen to this. Brennan pleaded guilty to the felony perjury charge just a few weeks ago, and charges of misconduct in office and tampering with evidence were dropped as a part of the plea agreement. She tampered with evidence. Again, if she'd caught a witness tampering with evidence, they'd be in jail. So, Cusick was selected, that's the circuit court judge, to preside over the case after all the Livingston County judges recused themselves to avoid conflicts of interest, which is what you're supposed to do. But you'll see that when the opportunity arose for her to have a conflict of interest, she embraced it. The former 53rd District Court judge was removed from the bench June 28th by order of the Michigan Supreme Court following a Judicial Tenure Commission recommendation to take away her judgeship and suspend her from any judicial position for at least 6 years. So they said, if nothing else happens bad to her, if it turns out there's nothing else going on, she still shouldn't be a judge for 6 years. Now that's a big statement, but it got worse. On December 19th, the state bar suspended her license to practice law. So she is no longer a fellow attorney of mine. Ironic, because I can remember not so long ago when I was in a courtroom that she was yelling at me, berating me, acting as if I didn't know what I was talking about something. Turns out I'm licensed to practice law, and she's not. The commission's complaint detailed how Brennan lied about her relationship with a Michigan State police trooper who was the lead detective in a double murder case over which she presided. So let's follow along now here. In the courtroom, she's the judge on the bench. A man is on trial for murder. There's a police officer over here who represents the state along with the state prosecutor, but he's the guy, he's the lead witness in the case. She fails to disclose that she's got a relationship with the cop. And by relationship, I mean an adult relationship, the kind you have behind closed doors, if you know what I mean. The commission also accused Brennan of failing to disclose her relationship with an attorney representing a litigant in a case over which she presided, failing to immediately recuse herself from hearing her own divorce case. So let's back up. Not only did she have the relationship with the cop that's inappropriate, but she's alleged to have a relationship inappropriately with another attorney who was in front of her on another case. Then, when her husband filed for divorce, it got filed in the county in which they live, which of course is the county in which she's a judge, and the judge got the case. It wasn't her doing, but it got assigned to her. And when a judge gets a case assigned that she can't oversee, she's supposed to recuse herself immediately. And that happens all the time because case assignments are random. So when her husband came in and filed the case, it could have been assigned to another judge. It could have been assigned to his wife, his soon-to-be ex-wife. Trust me. You know who's happy right now? He is. But I'm speculating. I've never met the man. But I'm happy. I'm guessing he's happy that he's cut her loose out of his life. But the divorce case gets assigned to her, and instead of reassigning it like she's supposed to, she keeps it for a couple of days so that she can tamper with evidence. Again, something she's not supposed to do, but she did. So the Supreme Court's summary of the case lumped all these things together, and that's when they recommended that she be suspended for a minimum of 6 years. Meanwhile, the defendant in a murder trial, who was on one side of the courtroom while the judge's friend is on the other side, he got sentenced to life in prison, but now he gets a new trial. So when we talk about this, whether or not it's a complete miscarriage of justice, for all we know, the guy's guilty. We don't know. He didn't get a fair trial the first time, so we don't know. But let's assume for a moment he's guilty. He still gets a second trial. Do you know how much it costs to run a trial? A double murder trial? She wasted taxpayer money by sitting on the bench and failing to disclose her inappropriate relationship with a state trooper so that this guy gets another shot at the apple, another bite at the tree. I'm mixing metaphors on purpose, okay? So this guy here gets a second trial. They might convict him again. But a waste, an utter waste of tax money. Utter waste of tax money. But meanwhile, and this is interesting, MLive out of Ann Arbor did a study of how many judges have been disciplined and what happens to them after they're disciplined. And they pointed out that after a decade of Judicial Tenure Commission reports, and the Judicial Tenure Commission is the group that oversees judges, the same way the Attorney Grievance Commission oversees attorneys. And they looked at voting records. They show that misbehaving judges are more likely to face a private sanction than actual removal from the bench. And that's true. There have been a lot of judges who get spanked and they get right back up on the bench. They also pointed out that the idea of, well, the voters will take care of it doesn't hold water either, because Judge Brennan was reelected twice during this tumultuous time of hers. So everyone in Brighton knew she was a kook. Anybody who'd been in front of her knew she was a kook. And people around her knew she was crazy. And people close to her must have known she was breaking the law. And yet she got elected and then reelected twice. Reelected twice. And it's because most people don't pay attention to the ballot portion that goes to judges. It's often at the bottom or on the back of the ballot. And it's often an off year. It's often not during a presidential election. It's often during the gubernatorial election or some such. And so, what happens is a county that might have, 10,000 votes for somebody at the top of the ballot, there might be 1,000 votes cast for judges. People don't care. People don't pay attention. People don't know what's going on in their own courtrooms. And so you've got situations where you've got this out of control, crazy judge on the bench. And I had people say, Steve, why didn't you do something about it? Why didn't you yourself? Why didn't you step up to the plate and do something about her? I could have filed a complaint about her. I could have said, yeah, she treated me with disrespect. And they would have said, oh, and they'd pull the tapes and they look at it and go, So she was a little off that day. She's a little rude to you. So what? Dude, you're wearing a suit. Do we need to tell you to put on your big boy pants? So no, I'm not going to file a complaint against a judge because she was rude to me. But I heard stories about other things she'd done to other people. And those are the people who need to complain. When people say, I've heard about this really, really bad judge, okay, I couldn't file the complaint that was going to take her down. The complaint that took her down was filed by the local attorneys who had evidence that she failed to disclose relationships with parties, with witnesses, that she was destroying and tampering with evidence, and then, of course, that she committed perjury. Okay, she committed perjury. So she didn't commit perjury on my watch, but she did commit perjury. So Judge Brennan, no longer a judge, okay? No longer an attorney. And she's going to be in jail for 6 months. So from now through June of this year, if you see me smiling, you know I'm smiling because deep down I know Judge Brennan's in jail where she belongs, okay? And I was in front of her just 2 or 3 times, and I've been in front of, like I said, hundreds of judges. I don't know. I didn't count. I've been in front of so many judges, that I don't remember all of them. I remember the really, really good ones. I remember the really, really bad ones. And I remember when remarkable things happen in court. You win a case or something crazy happens. She was the one who stuck out in my mind when people said, Steve, name a bad judge. Brennan, Brighton. Without hesitation. Without hesitation. So she's off the bench. That's a good thing. She was crying in court the other day, but I don't buy it. She's only crying because she got caught. She got caught. I'd love to go back the day before her house of cards toppled and had seen her, to look at her and go, look at you. You don't understand. It's all going to come to a crushing end. And it couldn't make me happier. I hope it makes you happy. Anybody in America who is a fan of justice should be happy. It's a happy day. It is a holiday. Judge Brennan is going to jail. Questions, comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Hope costs nothing.